Hey home bakers, it's Jack here at bakewithjack.co.uk bringing your weekly bread making tip every single Thursday. And this week I'm going to tell you 3 things that was written into a recipe that will stitch you up as a beginner bread maker. Ready? Let's go. Okay, thing number 1 that you'll see in a lot of recipe books, and it's something I speak about loads, is the temperature of your water. You'll see in a recipe book, it will say something like, measure out 300 mils of hand hot water, lukewarm water, tepid water, body heat water, blood temperature water, and all this different stuff. And in reality, all that stuff's going to stitch you up, because the last thing you want to do when you start making bread is stressing out about what sort of temperature the water is. And if it says warm or lukewarm or body heat, it's probably going to make something that's too warm, and you're going to want to have a bathing, and that's not the way. Okay, the most foolproof way for a beginner baker, which I do in every single one of my classes and demonstrations and courses, is to use room temperature water that's the same temperature as the air around us. Okay, and I've spoken about that here before, but I think it's a really important one because temperature has such a difference on the dough, and if you mess that bit up because the instruction is so vague, that's a real shame. Okay, so number 1 for a beginner baker, don't do any of that stuff. Room temperature water and you're well on your way. Thing number 2 that will stitch you up a treat is go and find a warm place to rest your dough. Wowee! This is another one that I spoke about loads, and yes, it's another temperature related one, because here's the issue, right? If you make everything at room temperature and you rest it in the room at room temperature, it's going to be there for a few hours over the whole process. The thing that will stitch you up is the change in temperature. Taking it from a warm place to a cold place, taking it from a cold place to a warm place, removing it back out and letting it cool down and stuff like that. The change in temperature will stitch you up. So keep everything the same, simple simples, less is more if you're a beginner. Just leave it out on the side. I do that everywhere I go. Every single house I go to, we use the temperature of the room on the side with great success. Thing number 3 that will stitch you up, and this is a big one. Knead your dough on a floured surface. Do not knead your dough on a floured surface. Don't knead it on a floured surface. This is another thing that's come up in the past. It's a big one. A lot of people are surprised when I whip the dough straight onto the table and start kneading with 0 flour. But here's the deal, okay? When you're kneading, you're stretching the gluten and making the dough stronger, right? And there will be a point where it comes together a bit better, but it might be sticky till the end. The thing you don't want to do is put flour all over the place, because you'll put that flour all over it and it will stop sticking to your fingers for a bit, and then it becomes sticky and you'll do it again. Right? And all that unworked flour goes into your dough until your dough becomes a nice smooth round ball. And you go, yes, it must be ready, but it's probably not. The reality is you probably put loads of flour into it to stop it sticking from everything, and then you get a real heavy, dense bread that doesn't rise. Stitch up. Don't do it. That's it. If you're a beginner, that's 3 things that's going to stitch you up along the way that's written into recipe books. Shocker, I know, and it's so common and it's so tricky, as I've also said before, to write recipes for other people. It's so tricky. Sometimes these things are put in as a safety measure when actually it's the opposite. It's the opposite result. It stitches you up instead of keeping you safe. So listen, thank you very much. We do this every single Thursday. It's Real Bread Week this week. I don't know if you knew that, and I'm running a special promotion. If you're a beginner, if you're in Surrey, Sussex, Hampshire, Berkshire, Kent and South London, I can come to you and teach you how to make bread. Got 10% off at the minute on a course booking, and I'll give you £50 worth of free bits and bobs to help you keep going after. So you can learn how to make that bread, nail it, and then make it over and over again with great success after I'm gone. I'll put a link here so you can have a little look at that. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.